Ah, oi. 10,000 years will give you such a crick in the neck. Ah, whoa. Does it feel good to be out of there? Nice to be back, ladies and gentlemen. Hi, where are you from? What's your name?
Mr. Aladdin, sir, what will your pleasure be? I'll take your order, serve it up. You ain't never had a friend like me.
Bruh, if you had not gotten this one, we would have had some problems.
Yeah, I think that was the most straightforward one you've done yet, and a whole lot of fun.
You and I have unfinished business.
Oh? And what's so stinking about it?
Non mi piace il feeling. Spirito to something. I think this just might be my masterpiece.
Welcome to Season 3, Episode 9 of the Average Joe's Movie Clubcast. This is Justin.
And I'm Joey.
And it has finally come to where we're restoring balance to the force as Joey and I finally talk about a QT-directed movie here on the podcast with Death Proof from 2007. Plus, things are getting steamy, but watch out for that ice pick as we open our legs up to talk about Basic Instinct.
And as always, we do just fully discuss our thoughts on these films. So if you haven't seen either one of these and don't want any spoilers, English, please go ahead and skip ahead.
And if you want to be a part of the Movie Clubcast, we'd love to hear from you. Hit subscribe, please. Follow us on Buzzsprout. We'd love to have you in our fam. So, what is going on? It's been a hot minute, but not as long as last time.
Yeah, it's only been a little while. I would like to say we have talked about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood in a bonus episode, and we talked about all of the movies. And when we did Snowblood, when I challenged you to Snowblood back in season 1, I at least watched Kill Bill, and we did do some comparisons.
I watched Kill Bill then too, not part 2 yet. It took me like a whole year later. I finally watched part 2, which that movie it's not great.
All right, well, that's the end of this podcast, everybody.
Number 1's great. Number 2.
Well, first of all, that's one movie. And the second half is just as good as the first.
Bless you. All right. But
thank you.
Yeah, so South Carolina is like one of the number 1 COVID states with hospital beds. Getting full all over the place. My wife is a nurse, is seeing all the chaos of the virus. So it's a real thing, and I got vaccinated.
I'm also vaccinated. Unfortunately, about half of our state isn't.
I was talking to my niece's boyfriend, and he said, "Oh, I heard the vaccination gives you blood clots," and I'm like, well, if that's the case, then like all our medical professionals are going to be dead in a couple years, and you guys are screwed anyways, you non-vaxxers.
So, I mean, I hear a lot of people. I've got some friends who don't want to take it or whatever, and my new boss actually, and she doesn't have these like crazy conspiracy theories. She's just like, I just hear that so many people are dying or whatever, and like I'm not trying to like argue with these people, but it's like you realize that like we have as many people are dying from COVID as like every version of cancer combined, every version of heart disease combined, not just one version of it, but all of them together. I was like, and yeah, anything that's medical has a side effect, but like the percentage was like less than 0.1% or something. I don't remember the specific. It was like it's less than 1%, and I'm pretty sure it's like less than 0.1% that people are dying from this vaccine. And you also had a ton of people who were like, "Well, it's not FDA approved," which was
It
half
is
true.
now.
It was FDA like approved as an emergency and is
Mhm.
fully FDA approved. Then of course, you got people who are like, "Well, look at all these things the FDA approved and they turned out to be worse later." And it's like, okay, but if you don't take this vaccine and you get sick, or even if you don't, you can give it to your grandma or your aunt or your child or whoever, and they could die from it. The whole
Mhm.
point of vaccines is herd immunity. That's why, I mean, we're the same age. I mean, you ever had rubella? You ever had smallpox? You ever had mumps?
Nope.
Um, you might have had chicken pox. I did, and they didn't
I
start
did.
putting that. Yeah, that vaccine came a little later. It's like, you ever had polio? No. I mean, like, okay.
Yeah.
I'm sure. I'm sure you're either one or both your parents have got that big, deep scar on their arm where they gave them like all the shots at one time back in the
No,
day.
probably. I have no idea,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
sounds likely.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
it's
it's
just like,
getting pretty scary. Like since my wife works on the in the NICU, like she's seen all kinds of moms who come in with COVID and they have their baby and then they're put on a ventilator and it doesn't take long for it's all over
yeah,
at that point.
pretty much the ventilator with COVID is kind of like that's the. It's not the final nail in the coffin, but it's pretty damn close. Actually, one of my new coworkers, she wasn't at work today because her mom's in the hospital on a ventilator, and they called and told her she needed to come and see her.
Yeah.
Say anything she needed to say, that kind of stuff. So, yeah,
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out from here. I mean, what, a year and a half later, and it
well,
seems like it's
I
getting
mean,
worse.
yeah, I mean, obviously we're not going to remember this because we weren't around then. But the Spanish flu hit, and the first wave ended, and everyone was like, "Oh, okay," and then the second wave was so much worse, and that's kind of where we're at. So they're talking about offering a booster. Like, hell yeah, I'll get a booster. I mean, everyone's like, it does this to your body and this, and it's like, bruh, this is a non-live vaccine. It's out of your body in 3 days. Like, it just it lets your body recognize the antibodies. Produce the antibodies and recognize it. It's not a live virus like a lot of vaccines are.
Already this school season or school year, Nolan had a case in his class, and so he got sent home for a week. And same with Gannon. So, and they're only required to wear masks on the school buses now.
Yeah,
So,
I know around here they're trying, they're required, but on the school buses, but the bus driver can't enforce it and they can't not give them a ride to school. They're required by law to give them a ride to school. And I know in some of the classes, they're trying, it's a big legal thing over civil rights and all of that. So
yeah, my
I,
kids are back on the bus this year, and oh goodness, it's a good thing. I like it. Not having to stop everything I'm doing and go sit in all that school traffic in the middle of the afternoon is it's quite convenient, especially when I'm having to drop them off at 6:30, and then that was a whole thing to figure out, like, because obviously more kids are going. There's no virtual school here this year, so they're all going to school, and so I would drop off Nolan like pretty early on, and then I would go pull up to where I have to drop Tanner off because I can't drop him off in the same place, and then I would have to like turn like the other direction, and it would take me like 40 minutes to get back home. It was nuts. And so I found a little loophole where I could drop off Tanner kind of in between, and he can just kind of take the sidewalk the rest of the way. And yep, beat the system there.
I mean, there's a small town outside of the beach, like they're on like a 2 week to 4 week virtual school right now, because of how bad the cases are down in Horry County. And I know like around here they went to more of like an all year kind of schedule, but I'm kind of expecting, I've already started seeing football games and sporting events canceled. I'm kind of expecting to see that they're going to be back in virtual school with how rapid the cases are spreading with, that many people being in close proximity at 8-10 hours a day.
Well, I'll lighten things up a little bit. It's hard with a kill. It's almost like this is the killer pandemic podcast we've got on our hands. Yeah, so I bought the wifey another present for myself, which I do use. I got her a massage gun. Have you seen these things?
We talking about like a personal massager that you would
No, like for like the back and your sore muscles or whatever. Not a vibrator.
I mean, it's a massage gun. Like that sounds like you would go into Spencer's and be like, "Hey, I need a personal massager."
No, this is a legit neck massager or whatever, full body massager. It would hurt if you put it down there. I tell you that. It's funny, you go on Best Buy and these things are like $400, but then like you can go on Amazon and get one for $100, and I love mine. Like every time I get sore shoulders pretty often, and I just have that sucker beat up underneath my shoulder for a little bit, and it kind of goes away. So enjoying being able to do that now.
All right, that's pretty nice. I'm a little jealous. Not gonna lie, it's pretty nice.
Yeah, I'll have to recommend you the one I got. It's quite nice. Yeah, you can get some really expensive ones, but man, this one like never jams up on me, and I use it on the wifey's feet and stuff. And she'd rather me give her the real thing, of course. But
well, remember, I mean, well, I guess that's back massage. As long as you're not using it on her back, I guess you're fine, because we all know what back massages lead to.
Man, I wish. Anyways,
I mean, well, you've already got 3 kids, so
enough said there. Scout season come back in full swing, so yeah. And the boys, I guess where we normally play baseball is they canceled the season. I guess not enough participation, so they're going to be all scouts. So pretty happy about that. I'm kind of over the coaching baseball because that was a train wreck last season. Still hitting the gym, sending the kids to the ninja class, and since we last talked, I have 2 new podcasts down there on the channel. I've always wanted to watch this is up to 3 episodes. Spoke to Jordan Puga of the Cinematic Underdogs podcast. He was real fun to talk to about The Usual Suspects, and then got Nolan on the show, which he'll be on our next show, and hopefully we knocked a little bit of the rust off in that first episode. So we'll see. You listened to it, right?
Yeah. So the episode, all 3 episodes, I've enjoyed.
Okay.
Jordan was really cool. And I like both of those guys on Cinematic Underdogs. So hopefully maybe we can collab with them again coming up. And listening to you with Nolan was a lot of fun, and it was cute. Like, I mean, I don't know really another way to describe it. I mean, because you're, asking him these questions and trying to help him, and he's given the best answers that he can give.
Yeah.
So it was very interesting. I messaged you personally. Like, he kept talking about all of these movies that had Easter eggs in them.
Yeah.
RPO and some other stuff, and I'm like, boy, wait till he gets to Quentin, who's just like his daddy.
Yeah. He's trying.
So,
He's coming a long way with the writing. This was the first time he talked about movies, so took a little extra editing on that one to make it a little bit smoother. But we'll go from here.
I mean, and I'm gonna be real. The Aladdin quote was inspired by him.
Very nice. Very nice.
Yes.
So what's new in your world?
I'm just still kind of adjusting to my new schedule. Where I get up at like 6 o'clock in the morning, and I could probably go to sleep, like get up a little bit later, but I do have a 20 to 30 minute drive, so I need to leave at 8, and then like I don't do well even going to sleep at like 10, which is what I've been trying to do. Getting up at 6, it still takes me a while, and if I want to cook breakfast or anything, and so yeah, I'm getting up at like 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm not getting home till 6:30, 7 o'clock at night. I do get the hour lunch break, which is nice. And the new job has been working out pretty well. I do feel way less stressed. I just sometimes come home and I just feel just really tired, even if we didn't do anything, just because by the time I get home, I've been up for 12 or 13 hours.
Do you do any warehouse stuff, or is it all strictly sales floor?
I mean, we have a very small warehouse, and like I might have to go out, like if there's only one guy in the back, like maybe help him lift something here and there, like move a couch like across the showroom. But it's very far and few in between. It's sales, and like today was the first, so all the bills were due, so we were slammed packed. We were short a couple people, so
Oh,
but
pretty busy. So it's a pretty busy place.
sometimes, I mean, and then other times it's a little bit slower. It just depends. But like I said, it was the first. All the bills were due, so all the people who didn't pay yesterday or the day before were trying to pay today. Like
Oh,
to the
I
point
see.
of
Like they finance their furniture and then they're coming in there to
yes,
pay their. Okay,
yeah.
gotcha.
Because it's a lot of in-house financing there. Obviously, like people can just pay straight up with their credit card or pay with cash or what have you. But
Hmm.
they particularly, most people are financing $4,000 and $5,000 worth of furniture.
Yep.
So today was bill day. Um, and then
He's
I
pretty.
mean, really,
He's selling pretty nice stuff.
I mean, there's some, you got your big brands for different stuff in there. I don't know a ton about the furniture yet. I'm still kind of learning.
Hmm.
But we had like a big sale going on. So like my favorite thing is to try to get the person to get the specific queen or king mattress so they get the free television. Because I mean that's a pretty slick deal. Buy a mattress, get a 60-inch television. Like,
Yeah. What kind of TV
yeah,
is it? Decent.
yes, LG.
Okay.
Yeah. So I had to think about what brand it was for a second. I was like, I don't remember. And I was like, oh yeah, no, I do. So but
You got some.
I'm still technically training. Like I still don't have like where I ring up. Like I can do payments by myself, but ringing up the transactions, it's a a lot more intricate process than what
Hmm.
I'm used to in a POS. And especially doing financing, like you're doing just someone's just giving you their credit card, debit card, cash. It's a little bit easier when you got to add on finance and um, that kind of stuff. It makes it a little trickier, and that it's a showroom and not like where you worked at Best Buy, I worked at GameStop, and it's like,
Hmm.
oh, hey, do you have a PS4 in stock? And I say in stock, and it's like, yes, it's right here. Oh, I have it in my hand in 5 minutes or less. Where it's
Right.
like, oh, in stock here means in the distribution center in North Carolina, and it'll be
Hmm.
here in 2 days.
Hmm.
Versus, yeah, so this, it's getting what some of their lingo means and just kind of how they run stuff. But I mean, so far I'm enjoying it. Um, so
Yeah, we did the whole furniture thing late last year. Actually, it was mid last year. It just took till late until we actually ever got it from Lazy Boy. We got custom like anti-stain stuff, which has worked out pretty good so far. Although on their couch, like it's really weird. Like if you have some resistance against the couch recliner, like you'll pull the thing and then like the little ring that like helps it snap the recliner up like comes out of place. So I got to tip it upside down and put that thing back on. And so the wifey's getting a little irritated about that. That not quite as consistent it used to be on the older furniture. So
yeah, I got you. And yeah, no, it is like we have several, like lots of pieces in both living rooms, dining rooms, all sorts of stuff that is just on back order because it's being made overseas, and some of those plants are shutting back down or they're still not running at full capacity and then being shipped here.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, so there's actually a couple of sets that aren't even crazy expensive, which kind of makes sense because they're lower price, but they're like nice, and they're back ordered through the end of the year, and it's like, bro. So,
Right,
but it is
reminds me
what
of
it is.
my lawnmower. I've had it for like 10 years or something, and it finally wasn't starting right or whatever. It's this Husqvarna with a Honda engine. And so my father-in-law came over, and we were checking it out, and we took apart the carburetor. Apparently the carburetor had gone bad. And so I went on Amazon. I got like a $20 carburetor that came with like a filter and all this extra junk. Put that on. That lasted one mow before apparently the I guess what a carburetor is it controls like the fuel in the engine, and it like just like a toilet, it has like a little thing that goes up, and it like at a certain point, whenever there's enough fuel in the engine, it stops storing the fuel or whatever. Sorry, gearhead people. But yeah, that went bad. Went right to the local small engine store and got a new one of those and put that on and it started working great. But then like the regulator's not working now, so it's like if you can imagine like running a car like on full rev like the whole time, it was acting like that, and so still not quite right. It was fun putting a new blade on there. That was kind of cool picking that out. Yeah,
I mean,
still
10
the
years.
first-
I mean,
Yeah.
10 years old. Yeah, just little things here and there going wrong. I'm surprised you haven't just been like, screw it and buy a new one.
No, the wifey wouldn't be too supportive of that. Although I did finally figure out this. So I'm not sure if I've talked about flies on the cast before, but yeah, we get these really bad fly problems around the summertime, and a lot of times they're so bad, like in the garage, like I'll actually have to bring my trash can out to the side of the house to like avoid this whole swarm of flies coming in. And so I would go online and I'd like get like the sticky paper and stuff, and finally I bought one of these bag deals. So how the bag works is you fill the bag up, and it has like this dissolvable plastic with stink bait in it, and like the flies, like they get trapped in this little bag with the stink bait. And so I was doing that for a while, but man, stink bait gets pretty stinky. So what I did was I got a reusable one. It came with a couple things of stink bait, but I threw those away. But I was looking online, but you can actually put like jam and honey in these things and stir it up, and man, they fill up with flies in no time. So yeah. Finally won't be spending very much money on, and I even made my own. Like I'll take these like olive jars and punch a few holes in the top and put the sweet water in there, and it'll catch a few flies in the house. And yeah, a little life hack for any of you insect folks wanting to defeat those insects in your house, because man, flies are awfully annoying, and getting them with fly swatters is near impossible unless they're fat and lazy. Then it's a breeze.
Oh, so like us.
The flies. All right, let's talk about some movies. We've been talking a lot about life for 20 minutes. All right, so what have you been watching, game? All right, see, I don't think you've heard of either of these two movies, but that's part of the fun. All right, so I'm doing pretty good on watching my Criterions like in spine order now for a while. So I'm up to these two movies that are horror movies in the collection, called Blood for Dracula and Flesh for Frankenstein. And let me pull up their little pages on the old Criterion website so give you a little bit more insight on these. Blood for Dracula, Criterion. Oh, did you hear that what is it? Adam Sandler movie, Uncut Gems is getting a 4K treatment from Criterion.
Yep.
You guys have a 4K player?
Technically, I have a 4K player. Yes, we don't have one in the living room, but about 10 feet to my right is a PS5, so I have a 4K player.
So the first one, which is the one I'm going to be watching, just because it's next.
Incestuous lesbians.
So this is an Andy Warhol joint. Spine 28. Blood for Dracula. A moralistic take on modern values is a brash mixture of humor, horror, and sex, and a revelation to fans of the horror film. In Blood for Dracula, the infamous Count searches Italy for virgin blood. Criterion presents the long-suppressed director's cut of this outrageous cult classic. And
boy, so let me give you the letterboxed version of that.
okay.
Deathly ill Count Dracula and his slimy underling Anton travel to Italy in search of a virgin's blood. They are welcomed at the crumbling estate of indebted Marchese di Fiore, who's desperate to marry off his daughters to rich suitors. But there, instead of pure women, the Count encounters incestuous lesbians with vile blood and Marxist manservant Mario, who's suspicious of the aristocratic Dracula.
Fun.
Yeah, so it's very interesting in how different those two.
Oh yeah. Well, that's the elegant Criterion take on it. And so, Flesh for Frankenstein on Criterion says, Maverick filmmaker Paul Morsesi, I guess, Flesh for Frankenstein reevaluates the horror film, infusing it with satiric wit and sexuality. Morrissey's tale of the mad Baron Frankenstein and his perverse creative urges have heavily edited upon initial release, Criterion presents the restored director's cut of Andy Warhol Presents Flesh for Frankenstein.
Yeah, so Warhol's presenting both of these Paul Morrissey movies.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
So So if throwing which number spines there are, which actually it looks like Fresh for Frankenstein's first. So that's one's 27, and Blood for Dracula is 28. Is what I think I'm seeing.
I mean, all right, I got to go with Blood for Dracula because I'm like when it comes to horror, I'm about that vampire life. So,
Okay.
I think I'd have to watch that. I mean, also if it wasn't already like Blood for Dracula, incestuous lesbians, that's both horrifying and intriguing all at the same time.
Yeah, this looks like one of your daily your consumption kind of movies.
Oh no. These look like Carl's consumption movies.
He's into
He's the
B
one
stuff.
who likes. He's into the schlocky horror movies. I'm
Okay.
into shitty action movies, but I have watched plenty of schlocky horror movies. And we've got some on the docket. I've already made my Halloween list. And I've got some winners on there. Let me tell you.
Yep, I've always been more of a Dracula guy myself, so get it from my dad. So yeah, maybe I'll have to watch some Blood for Dracula with my pop. He's he got his leg up. He had just got knee surgery, so I suppose he could use some incestuous lesbian entertainment.
Boy, yeah, there you go. That's no better way for a father and son to bond than lesbian incest.
On that note, here comes the good, the bad, and the ugly. All right, my three are Sir Robin ran away, Sir Robin ran away, away. Oh, brave Sir Robin. Ending on
Okay.
a high note.
I would
Yes.
say if that's a different movie than what you're saying it is, we're gonna have a second time where I'm like, all right, we're ending the podcast. I'm just gonna throw that out there.
And getting horny with it.
Dude, you can't put the second movie of the night in your good and the bad and the ugly. That's not how we do things.
If only.
All right. So my picks are Cherry Darling, which I'm pretty sure will give away what I'm talking about there. Promising Beginnings and DMFY.
Oh, yours are very cryptic. What's DMFY?
DMFY stands for Donnie Motherfucking Yen.
Oh, okay. You had a few of those down.
Yeah,
I guess
watched
inspired
Ip Man.
by my other show.
Well, I've been watching some Donnie Yen stuff.
Okay.
I've got a few more that Johnny lent me, along with some movies from Mr. Wu. So, just kind of what I've been in the mood for lately. Like, I almost rewatched Ong Bak. Like, you were like, Ong Bak, and I'm like, yeah, let's go. So, anyway, yeah, I watched Ip Man 2 and Ip Man 3.
Okay.
Monday night, Sunday. I think it was Sunday. That's what I think it was. I don't know. One of the last couple of days. And, bruh, homie can go. Like, I mean, it's Donnie Yen. That's all my reviews are. If you've been any of my Donnie Yen movies, it's just bow down to Donnie Yen. So, yeah, I mean, he's playing the character who trained Bruce Lee. Like, I mean, I don't know what else I need to tell you. I mean, if you haven't seen Donnie Yen in a movie, he's been in some pretty big ones like Rogue One, Triple X, Return of Xander Cage. Yeah, he's been in some big stuff, you know. So
Okay. Yeah, I was pretty impressed with that Ip Man. No, Ong Bak is what I watched.
yeah,
So
I need to see the rest of the Ong Bak, but I mean, Ong Bak 1, Tony Jaa was great. Speaking of Tony Jaa and Donnie Yen, they are both in Triple X, Return of Xander Cage. Just as a random thing, as I watched that earlier this year.
all right. So which one of these do you want to be disappointed by?
All right, let me just get it out of the way. Give me the Monty Python.
All right, no, that's not Monty Python. That is The Green Knight by A24.
All right, we're gonna pause. The podcast is gonna end. I'm gonna get in my car. I'm gonna drive 2.5, 3 hours to the lower side of my state. I'm gonna find Justin's house, and I'm gonna bash his skull in with something. I don't know, but you just
Their cowboy boot.
I mean, I'm just gonna find something around your house. There's probably a baseball bat. I mean,
Oh, lots of those. Yep.
yeah. But not your head, because I don't want to kill you. We're gonna hit you in the kneecap. All right. Anyway, excuse me. Continue on back to The Green Knight. This is actually a movie I'm very interested in seeing. So.
Yep. Very art house take on the medieval genre. Enjoyed it quite a bit. Probably would have enjoyed it more if I was more familiar with that particular Arthurian legend. Yeah, I definitely could tell all the little Arthurian, I guess you would call them little references along the way. It's not very in your face about it, but I mean, you're like, okay, there's Merlin or whatever. And it's a movie I actually got a lot more appreciation for when I went and watched one of the analyzed videos, because they pointed out like there's this like star in the middle of the round table that like represents like the 5 points of like chivalry or whatever, and that's like how the movie is like constructed. It's from the same director as Ghost Story, and it has, what's the name of that actor? I think he's the same guy from Slumdog. Let's see here. Green Knight actor. Green Knight actor is Dev Patel.
And yes, he was in fact in Slumdog Millionaire, and Leon, and Chappie, and The Last Airbender, just to name a few others.
Yeah. So, I enjoyed this one quite a bit. It's very, art house kind of cryptic. A lot of the cool medieval elements. It's definitely not, you're not there to see like big battles or big sword fights, because that's just not your kind of movie. It's more of like, hey, like the legends of old, they kind of fucked up too. And this guy fucked up a lot, and it's interesting to see how it all kind of comes together. Spoiler alert, jump ahead 30 seconds if you don't want to hear this. Actually, no, I shouldn't. I won't drop that because you haven't seen it. If you read my review, it's embedded in there somewhere. There's definitely a Criterion film this is very reminiscent of towards the end. So yeah, when you finally get a chance to see it, I'll be curious to hear your reaction. Yeah, quite enjoyable. A lot of good fantasy elements in there. Just doesn't have a lot of the sword bashing, but some mythical elements and art house and great cinematography. So Green Knight, good time. I follow the A24 like Facebook group, and it's really weird to all the people that go on there and be like, man, the Green Knight was so dull. I'm like, you're an A24 fan and you didn't expect an art house movie? Not sure what you were expecting. So, anywho. Cherry Darling?
Cherry Darling. I mean, I'm assuming you know what this is. You should know what this is. Planet Terror.
Oh, okay. It's been a long time.
Oh, see, I watched both when I went to watch Death Proof, because I mean, I have the Grindhouse copy, so I mean, I have them both individually on DVD, which has their longer uncut versions, and then there's the Grindhouse Steelbook, which has them like you would in the theater. It has the fake trailers into the movie, into the fake trailers into the movie. So yeah, when are we getting SS or Werewolf Women of the SS, directed by Rob Zombie? Like, when are we going to get that in real life? Because that would be pretty crazy. But no, this is a good good horror movie. You got Bruce Willis is in it. Josh Brolin. Wow, and I am just blanking on. homegirl's name with the machine gun leg. I mean, it's Cherry Darling in Rose McGowan. There we go. That's her name. So I mean, it's a schlocky good time. Obviously, it's not very serious. It's not winning any awards, but when I saw this in theaters many years ago, I definitely thought that Planet Terror was the better of the two. And I actually think I like both of them better now than I did then, but I definitely don't think it's the better of the two. But like I said, it's a lot of fun, very enjoyable. If you like zombies and all that good stuff.
Right on.
All right, let's get horny with it.
All right, so I've been watching some of these movies of my teen years, and so I went back to good old Bye Bye Miss American Pie.
Oh boy,
still holds
that
up.
movie, I'll say that is a movie that has aged like fine milk.
I wouldn't say it's that bad. There's definitely some 90s up in there, and I guess that's when we first started saying MILF.
Yes, that is actually where that came from. But I was about to say, I don't know, recording someone in a sexual situation against without their knowledge and broadcasting it to everybody in the school. That's kind of back then it was like, haha, that's funny. Now it's like, oh shit, that's a major invasion of privacy. That's really fucked up.
My mind never went there, and I guess I hope that doesn't say much about me. Wow, where do I go from there? Yeah, it's interesting because, it came out right as I was going into high school, and so this was like the horniest movie around at the time. And yeah, I watched the sucker on repeat. It was definitely, I would say, the sex comedy of my generation. Back then, if you're a teenage guy, probably a lot of teenage girls, sex is on the brain at that point, and that's what this movie's all about. It's a little enduring. There's the two relationships that, do end up being a little bit more about like how their love for each other develops, and then you have not Stifler, but the dude that fucks the pie.
Jim.
Yeah, Jim hooking up with
Nadia, and then Jim, and what is Allison Hannigan's name? I literally was randomly thinking about this, unrelated to anything else, and I had her name, and now I've just blanked on it.
And then the other guy, Shipwreck. American Pie. Yeah, I'm not as much into Stifler in that one. I recall liking him a little better in the sequel. I remember actually enjoying all these sequels with my mom, not my mom, my now wife. Back when they were coming out, American Pie 2, I remember was a good time in the theater. I don't really remember. I guess American Pie 3 is the wedding one, and then they have the reunion one. So
yeah, I think 3 is American Wedding, and then there's American Reunion, and then there's like 8 spinoffs.
Watched a couple of those too.
Yeah, I've seen.
Tara Reid's actually pretty cute in that one.
Yeah, that was before she got the fucked up boob job.
Yeah, I was watching Van Wilder slightly before this, and man, she's wearing something about her and Van Wilder just didn't settle well.
I've actually never seen Van Wilder. That's one of the ones I missed, but yeah, no, this movie came out in like 1999, so I feel like I remember like going back when you used to have to go to Blockbuster to get movies, not to date us or anything. But we went, and I'm pretty sure that we got American Pie and The Matrix, and that was our double feature.
Oh, interesting.
Maybe not. They might have not been the same time, but anyway, The American Pie, we were laughing so hard, me, my best friend, and his mom, that we were having to stop it and rewind it. And I don't mean press the back button. I mean actually rewind the tape. Yeah. To get through it. So I just remember I saw it. I don't know. It's been a bit now, but it was a long time after that time, and it just didn't hold up the same way. But
okay.
Yeah, no, it's. When you're 14, hey, fucking a pie feels like warm apple pie. Like all that stuff's real funny.
Mm-hmm. Eugene Levy's great in it. He's trying to relate with his son, it's more of this modern age. I remember liking Kevin a lot whenever I was younger because, he's the one being like, oh, I want to get laid. But now he's kind of annoying looking back at it. He's the only one I was kind of sour on. Chris Klein's like his little like jock turned choir boy kind of thing as he falls in love with the Mina Suvari character. And yeah, it's a pretty solid sex comedy. I think it holds up pretty well, and a lot of good memories around it. All right. What's your last one is Promising Beginnings. How
Yes.
thought-provoking.
So, while we do
This
like to talk-
stars Vin Diesel.
Yes, this stars Vin Diesel. So while we do spend a lot of time talking about one Mr. Tarantino, both of us also spend a lot of time talking about one Mr. Kurosawa. So back during the last sale, I only bought 2 titles. I bought the Jacques Demy box set, and I bought the Akira Kurosawa Eclipse 23 set, which are his first 4 movies. And so this was the first one. So, I mean, me and Carla are still doing when we like watch a movie together, we still are flipping cards. And so the box set, we put it in there when we reloaded it. And so we got Senshiro Sugata. Obviously black and white, obviously in Japanese. It was his first movie. And there was about 17 to 20 minutes or so of it cut out because at the time, the Japanese military or Japanese government had a limit on how much time you could spend doing like leisure stuff or something. It explained it at the beginning. So there's some of the movie that's missing, and I think would flesh some stuff out. But you definitely could see like the flashness of greatness of his directing in this opening thing. And he was already, because he had been a photographer, already really good at framing shots and making stuff really pretty. But instead of about being samurais, this is actually about like a fight over judo and jujitsu. So you're not getting like samurai battles. You're getting more of like fighting, but it's also like they're not in an arena, obviously, but you're thinking of, oh, they can't step outside the line, contact kind of stuff. It was very interesting. And there's a sequel, and so I'm ready to get back into the rest of this set to see some more stuff from Mr. Kurosawa's early days.
Yeah, I need to get into more of his filmography. I'm seeing most of the heavy hitters. Gotta dive back into that.
I mean, I still need to see one of the big heavy hitters. I still haven't seen yet, but we'll get there. It's in the house.
Ikiru yet?
Ikaru I have not seen. I have not seen Ikaru, and I have not seen Rashomon.
Oh, okay.
So, but and I mean, I want to see Dreams, and I mean, I want to see all of them. So, but and there's tons of them in the house. And there's one in my spin to win list here for us. So we'll see if we get there. Yeah.
All right. So my ending on a high note. So I finally watched the last 3 Tremors movies, and so basically with Tremors, like you have the first one, it's great. The second one is kind of like, what happens after that? Pretty good, not great, kind of bad CGI. Third one is definitely like, oh gosh, we're on a downswing here, as like it follows the story of these like people that have turned the Tremors into like a tourist trap, and Bert shows up. And then 4, it's like a prequel where they like find the Tremors like back in the Old West days in the same town. That one's all right. So I kind of left it on the shelf at that point. Wasn't in a hurry to finally see the last 3, but watched Tremors Bloodlines and actually really enjoyed it as the story moved down to South Africa. And what is his face joins the cast? Who's the smart guy from Scream? That's like the horror fanatic from Scream.
Yeah. The one who gives all the information. Bruh, why you do this to me? You'd think I would. Yeah, I'm like
Jamie Kennedy.
You're like the guy from Scream, and I was like Matthew Lillard, and you're like the smart guy, and I'm like, yeah, that's not Matthew Lillard.
But Bloodlines was really good, and then I was really disappointed by the follow-up, Tremors: A Cold Day in Hell, because it's kind of a bait and switch. But then you get the final movie of the series, Tremors Shrieker Island, one of the most ridiculous covers out there. Very B movie looking. Has the guy from Napoleon Dynamite as Bert's sidekick this time instead of Jamie Kennedy. And this movie was actually a lot of fun. Some good humor from him, some good Tremors action. It wraps the story up. Some badass chicks, and I was not disappointed. Very stylistic, looks really nice, and the Tremors are all CGI, so I guess some of the purist fans bitch about that. But for being called Tremors Shrieker Island, and with that cover and it, delivering a satisfying end to this whole 7-movie series, if you quit Tremors at some point in the middle, I recommend you finish it off, because it didn't disappoint me, and I'm pretty picky about the shit.
Yeah, these seem like you don't typically like super kind of schlocky kaiju movies, for a better term, for lack of a better term, like this. This seems like something where it'd be like Carl being like, hell yeah, let's watch this, and then like here it is you. So I think I stopped watching Tremors after Tremors 1, maybe Tremors 2, but I don't remember that. I know I've seen Tremors 1 more than
Tremors
once.
1's great.
So.
Kevin Bacon.
I
owe it. It wasn't really my idea. These are all PG-13 horror movies, so my kids were into them, and yeah, they wanted to finish it out, and I'm glad I did.
The
Thanks.
first one's PG-13.
All of them are.
Okay. You would have watched them all recently. I just thought that the other one would have, the first one at least was R for some reason, but it's been a long time since I've seen it.
Yep, all PG-13 level action horror. Thanks to them, I've seen all of the Tremors movies and all of the Critters movies. So never thought I was going to get there, but here I am. All right, let's get into our feature movie of the night, Death Proof. And I believe Mr. Joey is going to tee this one up for us.
Yes, so we are going to talk about Death Proof, which Justin, you picked from the category of Kurt Russell. You did surprise me, because like I said on the last show, I either thought it was going to be one of his big 3 from the 80s, or you were going to pick something out there like Captain Ron.
That sounds like something Joey would do. Captain Ron. I have seen bits and pieces of that on like HBO back when I was a teen.
Like you gave me pick a Quentin Tarantino movie. He was in it and he wrote it. And we had a good time talking about it, so shut the hell up. So our synopsis from the IMDb is 2 separate sets of voluptuous women are stalked at different times by a scarred stuntman who uses his death-proof car to execute his murderous plans.
All right. So, I'll let you take us away on the whole Grindhouse concept. I saw this one and Planet Terror separately, as I rented them from the old Blockbuster back in the day, and I actually remember watching this on a portable DVD player whenever I was working late nights at the TV station. But let's tell me about the old Grindhouse. What would you like to say there? I've seen a couple of I've seen Hobo with a Shotgun. What other ones are there? Machete?
Well, Machete. Machete is the first trailer that they show, and obviously Danny Trejo, to the point now that Danny Trejo is known as Machete. That's kind of like his big role, besides the fact that he's been in like everything ever. Machete Kills not so good, other than Machete Don't Text, but
I was not a fan of Machete 2 with isn't Charlie Sheen in that as like the president or something? I remember it being real bad.
Yeah. It gets out there. Like I saw a clip I had forgotten, like Sofia Vargas like shooting bullets out her tits, and then she's got the gun, the gun from Dusk Till Dawn. Also just thrusting and shooting and stuff is a little out there. But Hobo with a Shotgun was actually in the Canadian version as one of the trailers, and it got made into a movie. So the other ones, like I mentioned earlier, Werewolf Women of the SS, directed by Rob Zombie. There was the one called Don't or something. Yeah, like there's a couple of different ones that never got made into anything, but were still a lot of fun to watch. So I remember going into the theater to see this, and I had at this point never really seen anything like it.
Mhm.
And like I said earlier when I was talking about Planet Terror, so I always thought that, going to see it in the theater, the way they did it, where you had the big high action zombie movie, the dude driving the helicopter face down or nose down and using the fucking helicopter blades to kill all the zombies. You had a girl with a machine gun leg. Like how do you follow that up with a car chase movie? But as I've watched this movie more and more, I start to appreciate it more and more. Um, and like I was supremely happy at the end of watching both those movies last week. Like it was just a great time.
Mhm.
And if anybody like realistically was gonna tackle grindhouse B style movies, like it's Quentin Tarantino. I mean, he loves his pop culture references
Mhm.
and basically homages to the things that he loved, the things that made him who he was as a filmmaker. And
Mhm.
you see that say in like Kill Bill, where you see the Bruce Lee suit, or Sonny Chiba, R.I.P., or just all the different things. He puts all of the spaghetti western music in that, and takes the scene and mimics it. So I mean, he's very good at doing that kind of stuff, and so to create his own take on it, I think it was done very well. And I don't know if there was someone else outside of Rob Rod who could come close to doing something like that. Um,
Ba-dum, bum, 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 ba-da-dum, bum, 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 ba-dum, boom. I love that what 70s style special feature opening he uses for this. I
oh,
think don't
it's
they also
so
have it? Don't they have it in I think in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, like there's like this aerial shot of like a drive-in and you can kind of hear it in the background. Love that stuff. I guess that's an authentic thing to back in the day. I don't know, it's just really groovy. And then it
I think
goes into that little panther commercial or that little panther thing. It's very like, what is this? And then it gets like all serious with like the panther like elongating and looking badass all of a sudden.
Yeah. So, and like, and we can get into this later, but they made it look like it had cigarette burns, and
Mm-hmm.
oh, in the theatrical cut where they cut the lap dance out, if you've got the extended cut, it's in there, but
Mm.
just different things like that, just really gave it that feel that was from the 70s. It was his
Mm-hmm.
love letter to, like, we're going to the drive-through to watch this, this movie. Did he's an to a B movie or what have you, and
Mm-hmm.
like it was done really well. Like I wish I could have seen that at a drive-in. Like that would be like the creme de la creme. Um,
Yeah,
but
I back whenever we watched Kill Bill, I was definitely thinking like that was the sleekest of his like stylistic films, and Death Proof is definitely like the grimiest version of that with like this real dirty look, and it's kind of jumping all around, but it has that charm to it because it's all homage. It's not actually just a shitty put together movie. Um, Gosh, you look at QT movies in a whole new way after you finally come to the realization a little later on in life that he loves some feet.
just a little bit. So yeah, definitely spent a lot of time on Sidney Poitier's feet in the beginning part of this movie. Now, to be fair, he also spent a lot of time on Jungle Julia, which is Sidney Poitier, and Butterfly. He spent a lot of time focusing on their ass too. So,
Mm-hmm.
at least he spread the love around some there.
Yeah,
Um,
there. This is definitely for the butt fans as well, which I'm a fan of the whole package. So there you go.
I mean, nope, nope. Okay, moving on.
Oh my!
You just said that you were a fan of the whole package. Like,
Come on, man.
I knew what you meant, but you left the fruit hanging low, and I was trying to resist.
The the low hanging fruit cliche. After I say I like the whole package. Oh God, I like the female form. We are two Straight males on a podcast, everybody. All right, moving on. Because our opinions are garbage because we're the majority. Wow.
They could be garbage because, well, we're stupid. I don't think we're necessarily stupid, but I'm sure
Fucking
that people.
fanboys, QT, woo!
I mean, oh yeah, I'm a fucking QT fanboy, and you can at me all you want, and you know what I'm gonna tell you? To go fuck yourself. So there you go.
This is for people who love movies. So if you don't like QT, then anyways. Let's see. Man, let's see. I remember what I was gonna say next. So remember when we were talking about Kill Bill, and I was like all obsessed with, like, I had seen all these like De Palma films, and I was like, oh, these split screens and stuff. This is just like a De Palma horror movie or whatever. And shame on me for saying that was like Kill Bill was his Tarantino's horror movie, and that, at least that scene, because yeah, this is just like a straight up, slasher movie, but with a car.
Oh yeah, no. In my review, I straight up said Stuntman Mike is one of the best horror villains of all time. And before someone comes in and they're gonna be like, oh, well, what about
Freddy.
fucking Jason or Freddy or Pinhead or Chucky? All of those motherfuckers are mystical. They are not real. Somebody like Stuntman Mike, that could really happen. And all he has to do is be like, oh, I've had too many concussions from flipping these damn cars. Go nuts and be like, I want to kill these hot chicks. Like, we're living in a world where weirder shit happens than that on a daily. So, yeah.
Love that shot of Jungle Julia. She goes chills on her couch, and she is right below this big black and white portrait of like a girl in the same position. Pretty nice little scene there. Her bobblehead was great. Her big poofy hair in it. What is up with that crotch grab?
Oh, she was doing the pee dance. She had to pee. And I don't know why she was grabbing her crotch, because she had to pee. I don't grab not at least with my hands. I might cross my legs, but I ain't like, oh, let me grab myself because I got to take a leak. But I mean,
Tarantino zooms right up into it.
I mean, he was being what is the word? Gratuitous. There we go. He was being gratuitous for the sake of being gratuitous.
There you go. I can accept that. People sitting around just talking, that's Tarantino's bread and butter right there. It's just some awesomeness. They get over to the Mexican restaurant and drinking some of those margaritas, and they got all those old movie posters on the wall, which is pretty sweet. This whole scene, like thinking back on it, reminded me a lot of like the Vincent Vega date in Pulp Fiction, especially how like they do a little bit of role playing going on. So definitely some memories thrown back there. Hey, there's Eli Roth.
Oh yes, staple in 2 movies from Quentin Tarantino. This time though, he was not a baseball bat wielding Jewish Nazi hunter.
Did you know that that part was originally supposed to go to Adam Sandler?
What, the Bear Jew?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we know that Sandler can do serious roles and things. I'm gonna be real with you. That would have ruined that movie. Maybe if we had never seen it with Eli Roth, but I feel like that would have ruined the movie. Also, I'm gonna be real. If he gave him a bat and not a hockey puck or a hockey stick that looked like or a golf club that looked like a hockey stick, he would have been doing it wrong. I'm just
fair enough.
Anywho, digressing.
QT there as a Warren the bartender. Yeah, doing his little QT cameo thing, which he was still doing at that point.
Hey, here's some shots. You got to do them.
Yeah. Leave it up to damn Stuntman Mike to make munching on nachos look like the grossest thing you could possibly do. That was making me cringe.
I mean, yeah, no, he is definitely not being gracious with those things at all. He's definitely being. Yep. Well, I mean, it's Kurt Russell. You gonna tell him he can't eat nachos any way he damn well pleases? Because I'm gonna be real, I'm surely not.
But I definitely appreciated how this character is like this smooth talking killer, which we really don't see much. I mean, yeah, you had talked about like the fantastical killers. Like, I guess they talk about wasn't Charlie Manson like a real charmer until, he wasn't. Or even Ted Bundy,
I believe
maybe.
So. Yeah, I think it was Ted Bundy or Jeffrey Dahmer, one of them, was actually like very good looking, and so women would just not be put off by him. I think it was Ted Bundy, and yeah.
And he's building up to that virgin pina colada, so it makes him look like this total softy. And he starts talking about all these TV shows that he was a stunt guy in, and these girls are just nodding along, and all of a sudden he's just like, "You have no idea what I'm talking about, do you?" And they're like, "Yeah, not a clue." I wonder how many times it's happened to Quentin whenever he's talking about some of his old favorite TV shows. But I did get a kick out of the fact that one of the Asian-looking girls was wearing a Cub Scout uniform.
Yeah. That is right.
We got a little Kill Bill cell phone ringer at one point. That was fun. Nice little reference there. A lot of big emphasis on the old school texting where you type the message and the little envelope floats across the little Game Boy screen there.
Well, I mean, that was 2007. Also, since we're talking about things that they mentioned, so you're ready to talk about the lap dance anyway. When he goes up and is talking to Jungle Julia, and he's like, "Hey, don't you have a billboard, across town?" And then, she's like, "Also right here, Zatoichi."
Yeah.
So obviously in 2007.
Oh yeah, I forgot. I forgot about the Zatoichi drop. Yeah. Go ahead.
I didn't know what the fuck Zatoichi was whatever. Now, I got the box set. I've still only watched 2 movies, but hey, I've watched 2 of them. So that kind of made me like, yay, because I love fucking pop culture references in my movies, and I also make them all the time in real life because I'm a horrible, horrible human being. So,
oof, they stretch out that the part about the lap dance. Kind of reminded me of the foot massage from Pulp Fiction, and man, he knows exactly what to say as he ends up calling her chicken shit at the end, just like Jungle Julia teed it up earlier. How did he know that specific detail? That's just a secret to Stuntman Mike, I think.
He's no good in my book. Well, I actually have a book. I'll have to file you under chicken shit. It's like, Wait, what? It's so ludicrous, but it's hilarious. And the fact that he's up there hamming it up, sounding like John Wayne, like,
yeah.
It's like anybody else than Kurt Russell, you'd just be like, what the fuck are you doing, bro?
All right. So, let's move on to Death Proof. The pretty blonde gets in the car with them. He even has to plug in the seat, and she eases on in there. Bad decision, as that thing is a death trap, because the only way it's death proof is if you are in the driver's seat. Damn, a demented way to kill somebody. And it's pretty awesome when he's just like, "You're going to have to start screaming because I'm not taking you home."
Yeah, don't forget that she's like, "I'm not sleeping with him. I can still hear you. I'm not fucking him." Yeah, and then, which way are you going, left or right? I'm going right. Well, I'm going left, and that's the whole thing about the screaming, and he slams her face into the dash. And so my question that I brought up, so he bashes her face in and she's dead. He drops the pictures of Jungle Julia and her crew out the road, to get rid of the evidence that he had stalked them. The fuck does he do with her body? They never mention it when they get to the hospital. It's just the girls.
Yeah, the sheriff mentions it. That was a whole part of his story, because the fact that he's went in there willingly and he had no alcohol to drink and stuff. Yeah, he's a part.
The other girls were all smelled of reeked of weed and booze, and he had none in his system. I don't remember them saying anything about the girl being in his car.
Yeah, I'd listen back to the sheriff's whole little diatribe there about what he thinks happened. Yeah, she's slivered in there.
Okay, because I know he's talking about obviously Jungle Julia and all the other girls. I don't remember him mentioning Rose McGowan, and I was just like, are we supposed to forget about this?
Nope. Yeah, she was all smashed up, and yeah, he didn't have time to ditch her before he ran down the others. But yeah, that's pretty awesome how we see the crash, several different times, all with that emphasis on the headlights coming up as with the driver who's a little older, the pothead lady getting the glass in her face, and The one that I always find the most disturbing is Julia's leg flying off and flopping all over the place. Marlene's face getting totally ripped off wasn't too subtle either. The little blonde flipping up and flying on the road, and I think that's all of them. There's 4 of them, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so pretty crazy. Yep, he gets pretty messed up in the process. So he's totally a nutball because he puts himself in danger, but he's in the death-proof car.
Yeah, so he broke his collarbone and like fucked up one of his fingers and bruised his ribs or something, which is that's all that happened. That's, at 200 plus miles an hour, just running into another car is pretty crazy.
Yeah. And then that the cop who's the same cop from Kill Bill, right?
Yes, it is the same cop from Kill Bill and his son.
Who's just in this T-shirt.
Yeah,
I guess this Texas deputy.
Yeah, and then we find out that the doctor from Planet Terror, who's married to Josh Brolin, which we found out that that was her dad in the first movie. So we find out that that's all connected to Kill Bill.
Okay. Yep, the cop knows pretty much exactly what happened, and we know it. He's right because we just watch it all play out. But he can't prove it, and he doesn't care to. And, yep, he just wants to go on with life. And he's like, oh, if he ever does this back in Texas, I'll get his ass. But now we flash over to Lebanon, Tennessee. And this is the 3rd time I've seen this movie. And I didn't realize it was such a big time jump. For some reason, that didn't stick in my memory. But yeah, we snapped to black and white all of a sudden. It kind of looks like the film has like jumped out of light color. I remember seeing this the second time and just recalling how brilliant I thought this was. And it wasn't quite like that this time, but it kind of looks like he's kind of concealing the fact that there's all this yellow. What did you make of the black and white jumps?
I mean, I don't really recall the yellow, so
Well, the car is like total canary yellow, and her cheerleading uniform is bright ass yellow. So.
Oh well, yes, but I know you're talking about black and white to hide the yellow. Like, yes, obviously their car, the first car, before they get the white one, is yellow with the black racing stripes. And honestly, I thought it was more of this looks like Bruce Lee's suit or the bride suit.
Okay.
With the yellow and black was kind of more what I was thinking. Also, we're talking about the time jump a second ago.
Mm-hmm.
That was, we sat there for a while at the end and we're like, wait a second, when was this? Was this before? Was this after? Because, he doesn't have the skull in the car, but obviously it can't be after considering what happens at the end. So we're just sitting there going like, all right, well, how far after is this? Because in the other movie, in the first half of the movie, they make mention of, in Planet Terror, they make mention of rest in peace, Jungle Julia. So typically, if they're announcing that on the radio, she hasn't died. Hasn't been that long since she died. That was also in Austin, Texas. So how far out is this that he's in Lebanon, Texas doing this, but we also have
Lebanon,
zombies
Tennessee.
going on. Lebanon, Tennessee, excuse me, where this is happening, but there's also a zombie apocalypse also going on, probably around the same time. But there's no mention of that anywhere in Death Proof. So I just thought that was something that was interesting.
I guess what I was getting at with the concealing the yellow is the fact that maybe like this element catches Mike's eye, but we don't really know that at first since it's in black and white. So that's kind of like the vibe I got. Damn, Mary Elizabeth Winstead. She's one fine looking lady. Enjoy seeing her quite a bit on screen. Always forget about it, but I am swiftly reminded when I see one of her really lovely movies.
She kind of got the short end of the deal in this movie. Like they put her in a cheerleading outfit, and then they just kind of leave her for the big finale part of the movie.
That's
also
true.
You want to talk about things that won't fly nowadays. Like her friends left after insinuating that she was stating that she was a porno star.
Mm-hmm.
Left her alone with this guy, basically insinuating that she was gonna fuck him, and just left her alone. Like bro, what happened to girl power? And then they go on this crazy, girl power trip, and it's like you could have had a fourth girl there, like kicking ass in a cheerleading outfit, but.
Yeah, that was interesting. You hear her say "gulp." I guess the reason why I don't feel like threatened by him is because he is this big goofy guy from these Adam Sandler comedies. So like he does. I mean, although he kind of looks like a creeper, he doesn't feel. Mhm.
He may be the big goofy guy from Adam Sandler movies. He was also in another Quentin Tarantino movie.
Which refresh my memory.
You're the
Oh,
best looking girl I've had all week.
Is that
And he
is
gets
that?
his lip bit off.
Oh, that's Buck.
No, not Buck. The guy who's paying Buck.
Oh, right. Okay. I see where he could be a little bit more intimidating for the other sex in that way, that aspect.
Also, humongous, and is in Tennessee and is portrayed as very backwoods. Oh, what are you girls doing driving cars? Yada yada yada. Oh, she's in a movie? Is it a porno? Like that's the first place he goes. So yeah, it's definitely like he's supposed to be kind of threatening.
I was concerned about Lee at the end this time for sure. I was looking on some of the Reddit threads and saw some opinions fly around. Nothing definitive, but most people think she could probably handle herself. Very strange. She is in a cheerleading uniform though. But back up a little bit. Got a kick out of the whole messing with Rosario Dawson's feet there. He like tickles them, and then he like kind of put some like saliva on her toes, and that jostles her up before he's like, oh, I've lost my keys, got to get my keys. So little seems like Quentin kind of embodied Mike for a moment there.
For sure.
And she wants Red Bull and vodka first thing in the morning, and she's like, I'm still drunk. Italian Vogue. What was all that about? You got Rosario Dawson and Mary Elizabeth Winstead's character, like they're the kind of like fashion, and then the other two girls are more into the stunts. So a little division in the car there.
Yeah, so it definitely Mary Elizabeth Winstead was the like the main actress, I believe, or one of the main actresses, which is why she was in the cheerleading outfit for her cheerleading porno. And then Rosario, I guess she was like in like hair and makeup or something. They never really specified. If they did, I wasn't paying that much attention. Very much distracted by Rosario Dawson. And then Zoe Bell, of course, just being Zoe Bell, so a stunt lady. Yeah, that's why they were the gearheads. So.
Yep. The inside of that car looks straight up like a McDonald's. Bright red
yellow
and
black car. Or the white car.
The yellow one. When they're talking on the way to go get Zoe.
So it's funny. He's like, you're like, yeah, it looks like McDonald's. I'm like, man, this looks like Hulk Hogan's car.
Oh, okay. There you go. Well, I did have I had a spicy chicken from McDonald's tonight. Quite disappointed by that, but had my old reliable fish sandwich after that. I guess we need to... Have you seen Vanishing Point?
I have not seen Vanishing
Point. I haven't seen this damn Vanishing Point movie.
It's on
mentioned several times.
Big watch list. So, and I might be because I've got something.
And that cafe scene feels like it's straight out of Reservoir Dogs as the camera's swirling around the girls chatting it up at the cafe.
Yes, it does have that feel for sure.
Moving forward, yeah, they want to get that Challenger. She finds it in the classifieds or whatever. And then, they go and use Lee for collateral to get it and to take it for a test drive. Test drive from hell.
She had been, because she knew she was coming, she had been subscribing in New Zealand to the local newspaper so she could find the car, so she could drive the Challenger from Vanishing Point. And then, she pulls over and she's talking to, or they're off to the side at the place looking at the car. And she's like, I want to play whatever the hell they named the game that my memory does not recall at the moment. And, they kind of fight about it and they decide they're going to do it. And then they're gonna leave Rosario Dawson behind because she's not a cool kid, and then that's where the whole. And they're like, "Are you gonna fuck him?" And she's like, "No, I'm gonna insinuate that Lee will." And then that's when the whole conversation about her being in a porno movie comes in, and then they take the car and go on into the precipice of the movie. That's not even correct, but the apex of the movie, basically.
The cute driver chick is Tracy Tomas. I didn't want to leave her out. She's pretty fun too. Yeah, it's the name of the game had something to do with, like, I think it sounded like sailing or something.
Mast,
yeah.
proving mast, or
posting the mast or something. I forget. But basically it's she ties with the two belts, so she's able to hold on, and she climbs out on the hood of the car and feels that wind, being on. And the other girl's a great driver because she's able to deal with all this. Them Stuntman Mike sees this all going on, and he thinks this is the perfect opportunity to go fuck with some people. But man, you don't fuck with stunt chicks apparently. And great car chase. I mean, I've heard some of the interviews where Tarantino was just like, man, he was all about doing a real live car smash 'em up movie, and I think he succeeds in glorious fashion here. I mean, cars zipping around. I love the part where they go up on the interstate. I had forgotten about that part. But they allude to the fact that Zoe's like a cat and like they're worried about what happened to her. But, she pops out of the bushes and she's like, oh, I'm fine. Let's go get him.
Oh, yes. And then, that was after she shot him. And
yep, the other girl. Because they teased the gun up a little bit.
Yeah, because they're like, did I know she had it? Yes. Do I approve? No. But, it came in handy if, I guess. It was good she didn't hit him in the face, I guess, because we wouldn't have got the rest of the movie. But
he acts like a big old bitch after he gets hit with the gun. I mean, not saying that I wouldn't be all whiny if I got shot in the shoulder, but, this big old tough psychotic stuntman, man, he shows his weak side in an awful hurry.
Yes, like for someone who's all scarred up and, done all of these stunts, you would think he wouldn't be like whining so much, and he's just all right, come on, do it, and he takes the big swig of whiskey and it's like pouring it on his arm.
I think it was tequila,
alcohol of some variety, tequila, whiskey, whatever.
Pick your poison. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, if we'd been in Texas, maybe it was tequila. In Tennessee, I'm pretty sure it's whiskey.
I have to look back at that. It looked of the tequila kind of color, but maybe you're right. I mean, whiskey is a very popular for the numbing and sterilizing traditionally.
Yeah. But anyway, some form of alcohol. It's not actually important. And then the girls show up and start mashing his car with the pipe, and
Zoe's chasing after him. He runs off. They go after him.
It's where he starts off with, "I'm sorry." No, that's back when they shot him. He was like, "I was just kidding."
He's like, "That was so much fun," and they're like, "Fuck you."
Oh yeah, no, they definitely. And then we get another great chase scene without a girl on the hood of the car this time.
Yep, just them going after him and finally catch up to him and beat the shit out of him, flash editing style, and ends with I think a roundhouse or something, and then go to credits for a second, then go back, and Rosario, big old boot to the face, cave in.
Yeah. Don't forget that they keep tapping him in the ass, and she's like, "You don't like to be fucked in the ass, do you? You redneck, you redneck something bastard." And like, she's like, "I'm gonna tap that ass. I'm gonna tap that ass like a bunch." But yes, and then Rosario, who wasn't supposed to be the badass, she gets the kill shot. So.
Yeah, my aunt, we've had a lot of bonding over the Kill Bill movie. She loves some badass chicks, and she had never seen this before. And I was like, "Hey, my Aunt Kim, you should come over and watch this movie." And of course, she didn't say anything, as like obviously like a lot of this movie is very like, oh, not the women get the short end of the stick, but man, they come out a swinging at the end there, and she basically jumped up and cheered. That's my Aunt Kim, and she's a fun lady. You watch more movies with her. Part Personally, I think Death Proof gets kind of a bad rap. I don't know why a lot of QT circles kind of pencil this in toward the bottom. I don't think so at all. It's very stylistic, very entertaining, and I mean, it's not as typical jam, but it's nice to have those in betweeners. As he, makes his old school kind of homage movie. I was really tossing back and forth between a 4 and a 4.5. I think ultimately I'd be at a 4 because it doesn't quite have some of that enough of those secret sauce moments to get me up to a little higher, but definitely enjoyable watch. Enjoy it quite a bit.
Like I said earlier, every time I watch this now, because I saw it in the theater and I think I've seen it like 3 times or so in like the last 4 or 5 years, and every time it's just more enjoyable, and even finding something like the Zatoichi thing, which I wouldn't have known about before. So I've got it at a 5. I think it's fantastic. Nice. And to me, the more I watch it, the more I do pick up on that. It's a Quentin movie, and the more you understand how he makes movies, and you pick up on trends and stuff, you can see he's doing all the things he does. Plus obviously freaking Kurt Russell. So right
on. Kind of has that 2 movies in one effect, like Full Metal a little bit, huh?
Yes, except better. Both the movie and the connection of the 2 movies. Yes, I know.
We've had that conversation already.
No,
this
is
just pointing it out.
No. Like Full Metal.
I think I've heard that criticism before, where it's just like, oh, they hit like the reset button halfway through. So I don't mind it at all. It's cool to see it revved back up and get slung right in his face. Yeah, all right. Right after the. No, it's all you, brother. It is highlighted in green, so yes, this is yours. Take it, brother.
All right, guys. Right after the break, we are going to go to San Francisco to ice pick each other's brains on sex, drugs, and rock and roll in Basic Instinct.
Next up, we're talking about Paul Verhoeven's erotic, psychosexual. Is that how you pronounce it? Psychological. 3, 2, 1. Next up, we're talking about Paul Verhoeven's erotic, psychological. Is it just psychological?
It's psychological.
That's how you spell it? I thought it was like sexological.
That might be incorrectly spelling, but that is supposed to be psychological.
Okay, got it.
Psychological.
That's going to be much easier. Again, 3, 2, 1. Next up, Paul Verhoeven's erotic, psychological thriller, Basic Instinct from 1992. Maybe I should leave all those mispronunciations in just to give people context here.
So, to forgive us, it's late. I don't know how much he's been drinking, but he's definitely been drinking. And
they're only Bud Light. They're Bud Selects. So.
Well, it's not even alcohol. What kind of bitch are you, Justin? Jeez. Also, we're from South Carolina. We can't fucking read and type. Like, what do you want from us? We're 50th in everything in school.
I have to Google the Joey spelling of psychological to see what exactly he wrote here.
I'm pretty sure it auto-corrected or squiggly lined it. So, Yeah,
there's some O's in there instead of A's. So, yeah.
Oh, so anyways. The one is an O? Well, it's a vowel.
Well, this is a very messed up movie. I thought you were going with some kind of other mental, psychological psychiatry. Let's move into the movie, okay? Plot synopsis via the IMDb. A violent police detective investigates a brutal murder that might involve a manipulative and seductive novelist. Talk about
I was just waiting to see if anything was fucked up in there, and I was like, bro, that's on IMDb because I fucking copy pasted it.
this juxtaposition where we're like hilariously laughing through this sex murder thriller explanation of what the hell this is. Should I get into my points, or do you want to tee it up in any way?
You go ahead, man. I'll compose myself.
This was from your Wheel of Destiny. Very happy because I had not seen it before.
I also had not seen it, and now that you've started your spinoff with I've always wanted to see that. This would have been a perfect one for us to do together. But here we are doing it on our main shtick, so it's fine.
I must start by saying that that I'm not sure if you remember the TriStar horse.
Mm-hmm, for sure.
By far my favorite opening slide of like a movie studio ever. I don't know. There's something about it that gets me pumped about those early 90s whenever that was around. You
don't like the MGM Lion?
I mean, that's a classic. It also had what's the company who did Terminator? Is it? It's like Circon or Circo or something, and there's like these like sea intertwined seas or something.
But I mean, so the joke in this house now is like you start a movie and you see Janus films at the beginning. So obviously we're watching Criterion's if it's Janus films, but if the Janus films, it's like this is a banger if it's a Janus films. Which is not completely true, but still.
All right. I was trying to Google that because that drives me nuts that I even if I pulled it up, I probably wouldn't spell it or pronounce it correctly. But they definitely did a lot of early 90s in Terminator. Anyways, definitely this is an erotic classic that I've always meant to see, like we kind of alluded to earlier. That just I never got around to it. I was actually a little trepidatious jumping in. It's just like, what is this bad boy gonna have to offer? It's very infamous for what it is. And I had always thought of this one, just kind of looped it together with Fatal Attraction. Have you seen that one?
That's what, like Antonio Banderas and first Mystique.
It's Michael Douglas and what's her name? There's a lot of Googling going on tonight.
Oh boy.
Fatal Attraction. Glenn Close, I believe her. That's who's in it. Yep, Glenn Close.
Okay, for some reason I was thinking of a movie that's similar to that was like in the late 90s, but I can't think of what it actually is. Oh, well, there it is because I can't spell. Femme Fatale is what I was thinking of. Which is Rebecca Romijn Stamos, or Rebecca Romijn and Antonio Banderas. So yeah, there we go. I just had it confused with a Brian De Palma movie from 2002.
Orion Films was the big one back in the early 90s. This is like a needle in a haystack. United Artists. Talk about something, Joey.
All right. Well, I was trying to look up shit too. I didn't realize you were about to go down the rabbit hole trying to find this damn movie studio. Have you tried Googling the Terminator to see, find it? Anywho. So yeah, there's a lot of gratuitous TNA at the start of the movie, which it's not just gratuitous. It does come back later in to kind of play in, as you don't see this woman's face. All you see is blonde hair, and she is naked and on top and riding homeboy. And then, she ties his hands up, pulls the ice pick, and murders him pretty viciously, stabbed him like 30-something times. And, you come to find out later he's a rock star. And, Michael Douglas is, he shows up, and the police, like the higher-ups, are making a big deal because the guy's a big donor to the mayor. And so you see some of the politics in the play. about, being a police officer and a detective. But they find out who the girlfriend is. They go to her house, and she's not there. Instead, her friend Roxy is there, and she's like, "Oh, well, she's at the beach house or whatever." And then so they drive all the way out to the beach house, and you get like, was it Ferraris or Lambos, a white and black one, out in the front, and they go into the back, and that's where Sharon Stone is, and she is just fucking smart and quippy, but also just arrogant.
Okay, I got it now. It's Carlico Pictures.
Carlico, okay.
Oh my dear, what on earth did that? So as I was moving so I'm on the Wikipedia here, and I was moving my mouse across the screen, and all of a sudden I got a pop-up with a bunch of vaginas on it, and I'm baffled at what movie studio that was in connection with. I'm at a loss of words.
Well, it was the porno that Lee was in Death Proof, clearly. Also, do you not have fucking pop-up blocker, brother? Like,
no, you know how on the hyperlinks on Wikipedia, like, just hover your mouse over something and a picture pops up.
Yeah.
There's Home Alone 2 right here and Aladdin. I just don't understand how these doggone vaginas popped up all of a sudden.
And
this
as
one
Justin
horny
makes
podcast, this is going to not be marked for kids on the old.
Justin makes a mental note to save that for later.
Oh, okay, I figured it out. If you go on Wikipedia and you scroll your mouse over the word vulva, you will get an array of what a vulva looks like.
Well, now that you've told all of our young listeners how to find porn without actually having to go to porn websites.
Oh my goodness.
Yes. NSFW, NSF children, whatever the fuck you want to call it. And that's normally just for my love of the F word, but Justin in here talking about pornos and vaginas and God knows what else today. Clearly we need to do this more often so he doesn't go so far off the rails.
Oh my. Man, these Michael Douglas thrillers, they basically all have the same feel to them. Like, there are moments in this where, like, man, this is like, feels just like The Game or, Fatal Attraction, and he's has this presence in these movies. A whole lot of TNA in this, as we set up with the Black Widow killer you were talking about earlier. Stabbing that rock star with an ice pick. All right, so name as many movies as you can that take place in San Francisco. Go.
The Rock.
Mm-hmm.
This movie.
Mm-hmm.
Any Western movie that has to deal with gold mining in California.
Okay. Yeah, I guess that's
yeah.
One of the big ones is do you know the Alfred Hitchcock one?
I've seen exactly one Hitchcock movie.
Oh.
And I don't remember where it took place. I thought it took place in like LA.
Which one did you see?
Psycho.
Vertigo is a big San Fran movie. Reading off a list here, we got Dirty Harry, Bullet, Escape from Alcatraz, Pacific Heights, Sister Act 2, Back in the Habit, and The Conversation.
Escape from Alcatraz would make sense, as we mentioned, The Rock. Bullet is really good, by the way, if you haven't seen it. Oh,
Mrs. Doubtfire's in San Francisco, too. I guess what I'm getting at here is there's a lot of San Francisco in this movie, which is nice, because, it's kind of makes it a character in the movie.
There's also a really famous show that takes place in San Francisco.
Everywhere. Full House, right?
That's the one. Yes, sir.
You were looking at me like...
I also assume that means Fuller House takes place there, but I haven't watched that yet, so...
Yep, me and my wife, we watched Fuller House. It takes place in the same Full House. So, red herring number 1, the jealous lesbian lover, Miss, and gotta love that name, Roxy Hardy.
More like rocks hard, am I Am I right?
Am I know what you mean? Red herring number 2, Sharon Stone plays the cocky author whose novels are being acted out by a mysterious killer. Yeah, the film totally makes her out to be the killer because it wants to be, which that's probably a more interesting conversation later on as we pump through this plot. Yep, Douglas, he's kind of on the rocks with the department, being a detective with a troubled past, itchy trigger finger on a tight leash with the IA. I guess that's internal affairs.
Yep, internal affairs, making sure his shoot was good. Yep.
Jumping forward a little bit to the iconic leg scene. Did you know about this?
I mean, yeah. I mean, this is the thing that the movie is known for. Like, I mean, like I said in my review on Letterboxd, you know, she's getting dressed and she's puts on the outfit and her hair is done up, and I'm like, okay, so I know what's about to come. And then, you know, so I think the thing that's noticeable to this scene is, so like, that was apparently, you know, a big deal in 1992. You get this little flash of vagina or what have you, and you know, nowadays that's, you know, you're obviously seeing that in like super normal movies or what have you, but it's not something that everybody would freak out about. I think the big thing here is that in that scene, she's controlling everything. Not only is Sharon Stone, her character, or Sharon Stone as the actress, just controlling that whole scene and taking it over, but her character, Catherine, yeah, I think it's Catherine. She's controlling like there's 5 police officers, one of which, or 4 police officers, and the assistant district attorney, who is Wayne Knight, or you know, Newman from Seinfeld.
Jurassic Park. Still the
See, no one cares. See, no one cares. Anyway, she's just controlling like that whole thing. She's controlling all of them, and she, you know, she's not even really doing much. It's just the way she's talking, which and then she splits her legs, and it's just like fucking schoolboys seeing like a bra strap for the first time or something, dude. Like, it's kind of ridiculous. But as she is, you know, she was graduated, was it magna cum laude from what, Harvard or
Berkeley?
So yeah, Cal Berkeley. So yeah, she makes anywho, she just, you know, she just kind of controls it, and to
that would
be
have been
fair,
a long ass drive back to Harvard for Michael Douglas later on.
I mean, yeah, that's true. You're right. Look, it's
Just poking
fucking
the
1
bear.
o'clock in the morning. What do you want from me?
I had to throw it out there.
I mean, I don't think.
Yeah, you make some great points there. I mean, I guess as a sexual aspect there, like, I kind of felt it underwhelming. But yeah, you're definitely right with like the impression she sets in that moment, and like the lighting's like just perfect as there's all these shadows over these guys, and she's all lit up and she's all in white, and you know, yeah, she's a total badass. Because yeah, like she's like, yeah, you're gonna be. Can I have a cigarette? Yeah, you're gonna be smoking soon. You're gonna be drinking soon. So yeah, she is totally in control here.
And another thing to note there is, you know, she lights up a cigarette, and they're like, "There's no smoking in here," and she's like, "What are you gonna do? Arrest me?" And then they mirror that same thing later on with Michael Douglas in the same room in the same chair, and because, as she said, yes, you're gonna start drinking and smoking again and all that, he is smoking again. So yeah, there's some good stuff in here other than just, oh, look, Sharon Stone was naked for a decent amount of this movie. Which, hey, I'm not complaining about. Fucking 1992 Sharon Stone was very nice looking.
Yeah, the ex shrink, that wasn't his ex-wife, was it? I was kind of a little hazy on their relationship.
That was his ex-girlfriend. I guess I don't even know if they would say.
Didn't his ex-wife like commit suicide or something?
Yes, his ex-wife died, and that was his shrink, and then they had at least been friends with benefits or casual or off and on. So,
and like he gave her like a hate buck.
hate. Yeah,
I mean, how do you talk about Basic Instinct and not drop the F-bomb? Because he's like feels
Tarantino on the same podcast. Like, again, yeah. Also, I'm on this podcast, so like, whatever. I just have to, know for the next episode that I have to be in like work mode, because I can't be dropping the F-bomb with the kid on the show.
Yeah. This is a very. I guess we're getting it all out here. Yeah, she definitely plays the innocent and just trying to help him card throughout. He's quite the peeping Tom as he sneaks back to Catherine's place and is like kind of going around and he spots her, undressing, and it's like flooded with red light at one point, I think.
Something like that. And I don't think I like. Yes, he is peeping. I don't know if that was his intent. I think he went back just to kind of. He was either doing police work or he was going to go see her, and then she just happens to be undressing and he keeps watching, kind of like when she was changing for them to take her into the thing. Although, like, I got the distinct impression she wanted him
Oh yeah.
to watch, and because she mentioned how she didn't wear underwear, and which led into the whole thing with her showing her vagina. So, yeah.
And then DOS computers were definitely a thing in the police stations back when this was being made.
So the thing that I thought here was interesting is they've got these computers and it's 1992, and so I just finished watching The Wire. I don't know if you're familiar with that show, but it
Didn't
was
watch any of it, but I'm familiar. It takes place in Maryland, right?
yeah, it takes place in Baltimore. It's like a late or early 2000s HBO show, so it would have been on around the same time as like Sopranos. And it's a real gritty cop show. But one of the things is them getting computers instead of like typewriters was like a big deal for them to do stuff with, to have. And so it's just, and that's like about 10 years after this movie, and it's like, oh, they just have computers, so it's kind of interesting, like the difference. Also, like probably in 1992, you're probably like, oh man, this is like a super high tech police department because they have these computers. So.
Yeah. Yep, she continues her kind of manipulation game by she's studying him for her new book and knows all about his incidents as he goes in the house and sees all the headlines about him, and he finds out like what her parents died in a similar way that's put in the book. Which didn't she say that happened after she did the book? Well,
no, she did the book after her parents died years later, but her parents did die in like a boat crash, and it was very similar to what was in her first book.
So thoughts on Sharon Stone? Like you were saying, you think she's quite the lovely lady. I mean, I'm not complaining, but I don't know. She's one of these like Hollywood starlets that just, I mean, she didn't do a whole lot for me, and I think the movie really demands that you have this kind of infatuation with her. No.
Well, I mean, I don't think you're supposed to like her character by any means. She's
No, I'm trying. I'm just getting at. I mean, I actually appreciate her character a lot more than I, her as a bombshell. I guess I'm getting at.
I mean, I thought like, I feel like this is peak Sharon Stone. Like, they do a good job of making her, not that she needed help, but making her be attractive, putting her in like outfits to where she can be seductive. In a way where she's not necessarily stripping, but she's in the tight white outfit that she has to get out of the car, out of his Mustang, and go through the rain and that kind of stuff. So, I feel like they did a good job, and I think and to top that off, a lot of people will probably, oh, she's just there because she to look good and be naked, but she did a really good job playing her part. Like
Yeah,
the movie doesn't
I'm more on that side.
Yeah, the movie doesn't work if she's not good at playing that character, because you in theory could play, they don't have to show her naked having sex, other than they could have kind of redone it, but they kind of play into you looking at the first woman, you looking at her when it's her, and then you also looking at the shrink, the cop shrink, all of them naked and having similar body styles, and unwinding that plot at the end and going, oh. So but yeah, you could get away without her being naked, and the performance is just as strong. I
guess what I'm getting at is I definitely appreciate the movie on like a psychological aspect, the game she's playing, over like the titillation factor, which I'm curious how I would feel like if I was hitting max on both of those elements. So like Douglas is. Bart Simpson keychain. That was quite a contrast there.
I mean, yeah, but I mean, you think about it, like how big the Simpsons were back then. So I mean, I guess it kind of like, and who knows, maybe some parent company was linked or something, or it was just, maybe it was her real keys. Who knows?
Yeah, and then with Douglas being kind of on the rocks for the department, and the IA guys like constantly badgering him about, oh, you gonna take another drink, and he gets exactly what you kind of want him to get with getting capped in the head. And then there's that whole, I'm not sure how much well you followed it, like they kept hinting on the fact that this IA guy had like been investigating this whole thing all along, where he was very familiar with like the shrink's activities in terms of where she went to school and her ex-husband and all that stuff. So that was a little hard to follow. How are you on that?
Yeah, I mean, they were spinning the web, because he died, but he was the one who requested Douglas's file from the brunette chick who was, and then he's like, well, I had to give it to him, and then you go out later, and he was the one that was looking into Catherine's ex-girlfriend from Berkeley,
and then the IA guy sold it to the Catherine character, right?
Yes, from what I understand, yes. Yeah.
So his partner, he had that Pizza Hut box. I was really kind of curious to see what kind of Zaw that was, but they left that a mystery.
I mean, my question is it the kind you have to put? It's real small, and you put it in the microwave, and it turns into a full pizza.
Oh, Back to the Future style.
That would be cool. By the way, I'm still waiting on that pizza. Like, where's that at? Back to the Future, and my self-drying jacket and my self-lacing shoes, you jerks. Oh, and my hoverboard.
Dougie looking super creepy in that club with that low V-neck, as he's just kind of like standing around, like staring at these people that are dancing, probably on, I guess, ecstasy, because they are quite into what they're doing.
I'm pretty sure they're on cocaine, because they talk about cocaine in this movie a couple times. So.
Oh yeah, I do recall that as well. Yeah. Not too familiar on that scene. Let's see. I guess the fear of death might make getting ridden the fuck of the century.
Boy, you want to talk about a great line that is also a terrible line? But I'll call it the fuck of the century. I was like, boy, did they really just fucking say that? And why did I like it so much? It's so bad.
Because he's just rubbing it in Roxy's face at that point.
Oh yeah, that was boy, that was a thing. And
then he goes to that little cafe with his partner, and he's being a big dick about it, and I guess he's like a little drunk, and he's like cussing and stuff.
Very drunk, but yes.
Reminds me of some of the old days we were at the Denny's or whatever, and some asshole was with us being all loud and obnoxious, and the families with kids and stuff are just like, what the hell is wrong with them?
And then that's where they drop one of the other best / worst lines of this movie. And he's like, the partner's like, because he asked Michael Douglas if he thinks Catherine did it, and he's like, no, I don't. And he's like, oh, well, that magna cum laude pussy must have your brain. And I was just like, oh my God, did they really just say magna cum laude pussy? And they did. And again, it was terrible and also great at the same time.
Steps out of that bar, and Roxy, runs him down. He chases after Roxy, and she goes over the bridge. So, so much for Roxy. And then the police captain's on his face. Are you really mean to tell me that you just happen to be here and she just happened to drive off the bridge?
Yeah, because at this point he is suspended and is not actually supposed to be doing cop-like activities.
Yep.
So.
Kind of makes you look guilty whenever you sit down to get psych evaluated, and you tell the professionals there, go fuck yourself.
I mean, it does, but also when you think about it in like the 90s, especially with toxic masculinity, like surrounding you, especially something that's supposed to be very manly, like being a police officer, that men don't see shrinks. You just deal with whatever your problems are, blah blah blah. So, in the 90s, a strong male character, I feel like, would be like, hey, go fuck yourself. That would definitely be like on par for just his character. I mean, also he's, very, very quick to get hot under the collar and like blow up at people. So like it might have made him look guilty, but it also just feels like it's on character.
All right, I think this is probably a key moment to bring this up. Who's the killer in this movie?
I think this is a Scream style. I think there's 2 killers.
Oh. Okay. Huh.
I mean, I because who does the movie want you to think is the killer, right?
It
The
wants.
whole movie.
Well, that's a loaded question because the whole movie it's pointing to Catherine, but then they throw Beth as a direct target, but then they double back on it.
So yes. So how much was?
Well, they don't double back on it. They more like half-staff back on it because it's very subtle on how it's like. Are you sure?
Well, because I mean, yeah, Beth had all of the stuff, and she was obsessed with Catherine, and had all these other things, and was there when the partner got killed. But did she kill the rock star, or was that Catherine? We never see her face. We just see a blonde wig, and that's.
It's never really convincing that Beth would do that. She always acts very meek. It never shows her in a moment of like this rage. You have the moment where he guns her down whenever she reaches in her pocket and she ends up pulling out the Bart Simpson. They go and they find the wig and the ice pick and stuff on the stairs, away from where she was. So I mean, Sharon Stone's character could have easily like ran up the stairs and ditched the outfit there, and then planted all that other stuff in Beth's drawer or whatever. So kind of watching it back through there, I'm kind of under the impression that she got away with it. I mean, originally watching this, I was hook, line, and sinker that it was Beth, but it doesn't quite fit together.
So I mean, if my memory serves, like it wasn't just like a little bit; it was a bunch of stuff, and then you had the San Francisco PD slicker or whatever you want to call it, poncho. But I mean, I think that's kind of the thing maybe that they're going for is was it Beth? Was it Beth? Was it Catherine? Was it both of them? I feel
Kind
like
of ambiguous.
it is definitely ambiguous because did Beth they definitely want to paint it like Beth was obsessed with Catherine, but was Catherine obsessed with Beth and just knew how to spin it? And then because I mean, look how smart she is. And so I guess it's one of those things like I think that's also what makes the movie good. Like the ending good is who was it? Because I mean you know the whole well fuck like minks, have some crotch goblins. I don't think that's what they call them there, but whatever. And then live happily ever after. And she's like, I don't like kids. Oh, Rugrats. That's the term he used, Rugrats. And
you got Rugrats and crotch goblins mixed up.
Bruh, it's the same thing. They're the same thing. Crotch goblins is just the new term for Rugrats. I'm making it modern, man. Let me the fuck alone, bruh. And then so then he redoes the statement but leaves out the Rugrats part, and then she's doing the thing from the beginning where she's reaching back, and then she doesn't. She goes up and cuddles him, and then they pan to the bottom, and there's the ice pick under the bed, and it's like, oh, okay. So was she the killer? Was she not the killer? Like it's hard to say.
Yeah, it was that part where like they start looking at the Berkeley student body where it started. Like at what point did you start? Beth start coming in the picture for you? Was it earlier than that, or was the school investigation?
When she was like, I didn't really know her. We interacted a few times. Something like where she basically just passed it off that they had went to school together but didn't interact. I was like, no, bitch is involved. Yeah, okay. I was like, I don't know how she's involved, but she's involved. I didn't necessarily know it was going to go to that level involved, but I knew she was involved in some way at that point when she lied about it.
And then Catherine just hanging out with like this that old lady, what was the story behind her? She killed her family or something?
Yeah, she just killed her family and then turned herself in or whatever, and was like, "Yeah, I killed him. I just did." And Roxy had killed someone as a minor, had killed her parents, I think, if memory serves. So she just hung out with murderers. So it basically made it look like she was making a coven of murderers, especially bringing in Michael Douglas because he had killed the two tourists, whether by mistake or not. He had killed
Yeah.
them. So.
And you have that whole part where she's like, "Oh, she's a liar. No, she's a liar." Yeah, and then and then at that one point, what she breaks down, it's like, "Oh, death follows me everywhere." As we kind of are more strung in the Beth position, as like we think that Beth is like so obsessed with her that she's plotted these murders against all the people that get close to Catherine. Killing that partner, good. Yeah, what the partner deserve to get ice picked the hell to death in the elevator.
He was too close to unraveling the mystery.
Oh, and so yeah, we've already talked about which way is twists, and you're really not sure. It's kind of open ended. Yeah, man. I after writing about this movie, I was at 3.5, but I think a lot of the stuff you said convinced me that this is at least a 4. With how good Sharon Stone is at her like mental manipulation and able to control the situation, and then how this ending is like really leaves it out to like not really sure what the hell happened. So kudos Verhoeven. There's more to this movie than meets the eye.
I also gave it 4 stars. Yes.
All right, let's get into business. Let's get late. All right, so we have set up the fact that Nolan, my son, will be joining us on the next Average Joe's Movie Clubcast. So that'll be fun. Family-friendly episode. Although I notice whenever you do hit that an episode is friendly for kids on the YouTubes, it automatically blocks comments.
Yes.
So probably do that. But yeah, I'm not sure if we want to build up more of a juvenile fan base, because they'll go to this the Basic Instinct episode and be like, "Mommy."
All right, so I did pick a family movie. So last episode when you were like, "Hey, family movie," I had two originally just popped in my mind, and I referenced one a minute ago. So that was Back to the Future 2. But I ultimately decided against that.
Okay.
So the next one that was the leading candidate until I started looking around was Pirates of the Caribbean, because I have not seen that in a long time, and it's this big set piece, and there's lots of stuff going on. I think it'd be really fun to talk about, but maybe that'll happen in the future. So what I actually ended up picking, so remember what I opened what quote I opened the show with?
With Aladdin.
Aladdin, specifically Robin Williams.
Right.
Yes. So it's a Robin Williams family movie. That doesn't really narrow it down any, but
Flubber comes to mind.
It's directed by Steven Spielberg.
Oh, Hook?
Yes.
Okay.
Rufio.
That'd be fun to revisit.
I haven't seen that since I was like a child, and I fucking loved that movie. So when I was like, family movies from the 90s, and that came up, I was like, yeah, this is winning, like just hardcore winning. So I'm actually pretty stoked to rewatch that.
Awesome. We have that on the 4K. We watched that probably about 3 years ago around Christmas time. Had a good time with it. So yeah, that will be a good time. All right. So instead of going to my Wheel of Destiny, I've explained to Joey that I'm going to my family night movie list, and whatever I land on here, I'll replace something on my other list, because I wanted to make sure this was going to be kid-friendly, although Joey pointed out a few of those omissions on my family night. And he's like, "You have The Matrix 2 on there. That's rated R." It's like, I guess I do. But, all right. So 1 through 56. Let's see what you say. 54. Oofta. Way down there. 54 is Song of the Sea. Interesting. That is kind of, this is from 2014, Tom Moore. This is, I'm not sure if you've heard of like The Secret of Kells or So let the song of the sea sway your heart, the story of the last sea child's journey home. So this is animation. This is kind of a indie animation. I think it's some studio in Europe maybe does this. Let's see here, crew.
So I think this will be interesting. So we had done no animated movies, and this will be the third animated style movie of this season.
Okay. Jeez, I'm trying to remember what we've done animated.
First one was Paprika. We did Paprika with Knives Out.
Right.
And then Waking Life.
Oh yeah, I guess that does count as animation, huh?
It's animated. It may not be animation, but
yeah, rotoscoped.
Modern, but
yeah. Okay.
So
neat. Hook and Song of the Sea, kind of two kind of oceanic kind of movies, I guess. I don't know anything about Song of the Sea. It's been a recommended animated movie for the longest time, so that definitely went in a different direction than I expected, but that's a-okay. All right, if you'd like to follow us,
we got one more bit of business. I got to give you a category.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so I kind of went back through our little history of a couple of years and was looking, and I noticed that there was a style of movie, a genre, if you will, that we have not done yet. So,
really,
and it's a pretty big genre, a little bit bigger in the past than it is now, but I felt that it would give us the potentiality between.
Can I take a guess?
Of modern versions of it versus like original versions.
Are we talking westerns?
We are talking westerns, and
Okay.
I was gonna say American westerns, but I didn't want that to sound like I was trying to leave out spaghetti westerns. I more wanted to specify so there was no cheekiness, because both of us like to be a little cheeky sometimes.
Sometimes.
No samurai movies, because since those are just Japanese westerns.
No Star Wars.
Yeah, Star Wars is as it's based off of a Japanese western and is just a fantasy western.
Yep.
But yeah, no, a traditional western, and it obviously if you want to pick John Wayne era, or you want to pick something more modern, just American West.
Cool. Dig it. I always need to watch more westerns. It was quite the significant genre back in the day, and yep. That is a good one to pick from. All right. And if you'd like us to answer any questions, how do they get in touch with us?
They can email us at theaveragejoesmovieclubcast@gmail.com. They can go to our Facebook page, which is the Average Joe's Movie Clubcast. Click the red button. They can comment beneath in YouTube. They can find either one of us on Letterboxd and comment there. I mean, there's lots of ways. If you want to tweet at me, you can do that too. I don't actually have that off the top of my head. I apologize, but we're on social media. You can find us.
Yep. So Joey, why do we do this show?
Because we love talking about movies.
And that is so apropos for a QT movie tonight. Mission accomplished. Good night.
Later.
Sharon Stone vagina.
Sharon Stone's vagina.
You and I have unfinished business.
Oh? And what's so stinking about it?
Non mi piace il feeling. Spero to start.
I think this just might be my message.